Mike. I don't know who you are. I don't know where you are. But you may want to start changing your ways.
I mean, you know what? Dollar for dollar, when we look at what Bill de Blasio did for the working class and so forth, nothing came close to settling all of the municipal contracts. They had all been allowed to lapse under your predecessor, Mike Bloomberg. And just by settling them, and I don't even remember what the range was. It wasn't extraordinary, but it was like the 3 to 6% range or something like that. And it translates for hundreds of thousands of workers into billions and billions of dollars into middle-class pockets, right?
Mike Bloomberg, who, by the way, is trying to buy his fourth mayoral election right now with the $5 million he's given Andrew Cuomo. Mike Bloomberg literally did not care that he had 400,000 hardworking people who work for the city. Didn't matter. You could be a teacher, cop, firefighter, clerical worker. All were treated the same. None of them had a contract. They were waiting for back pay for years and a higher wage standard. You're right. Just that act alone put a ton of money in people's pockets and helped everyday people to have more chance of living here. So mayors have a lot of tools, but I think what I'm saying to you is, yeah, the big economic planning, absolutely, we want to have the biggest, most diverse economy. A mayor can have an impact. But what I think people need right now is those sharp solutions. Example, when Zohran Mamdadni talks about free buses, which is not a radical idea. It's being done around this country and around the world.
Yeah.
That's something an everyday person who literally is thinking, I don't have another $5 or another $20. But if they know they can get around on the buses for free, they're going to feel that. And it's a believable solution. If anyone says, well, how are you going to pay for these things? That's always something we have to take seriously. And I believe in this moment in history, you can, at the state and local level, tax the wealthy more because they're making out like bandits. Obviously, rich people got richer in the pandemic. Obviously, they're getting a huge tax cut from Donald Trump. But the point here is there are big, bold ideas that could help people right now, just like we did with Pre-K for All. And
it's so fun. One of my favorite things about online is they're used to looking, like a lot of people are used to looking at actors, right? And I don't know if you know this, chat, but the movie industry and the entertainment industry is constantly trolling for 18-year-olds and consciously bringing in like actual like teenagers and very young adults to sexualize and like hyper focus on their bodies. And they're not normal. That's not a normal thing. Whereas the one thing I like about politics is you could actually see people age and they're normal human beings. Right? Like it's and so it's always jarring for me when people are like, wow, look at that 60-year-old man. He's sure looking rough. It's like, motherfucker, he's a 60-year-old man. Like, what are you saying right now? Will Neff says Sydney Sweeney is the best actress of all time. I think he's trolling you guys.
What's the response you get from Andrew Cuomo and his allies at the New York Times editorial board? You know, no, it's big, it's bold, therefore it's impossible. It's big and bold, therefore it's irresponsible. You know what? If I listened to them, we would not have Pre-K for All. I can't tell you, Errol, I cannot tell you how many parents come up to me, like daily occurrence.
Sure.
Every ethnic background, every income level, every borough, and say, thank you for Pre-K, thank you for 3K. It changed our lives. It saved us a huge amount of money. It helped us stay in New York City, that kind of thing. That's what people want.
No, I'll tell you, right here in our newsroom, where we have a lot of young mothers, there's a fertility wave sweeping through our newsroom.
Congratulations.
And they keep those listeners coming, keep those viewers coming. But they are all, without exception, the young parents are like, it would change their equation fundamentally if they didn't have Pre-K, 3K. So
just
fundamentally, if they...
I mean, of course, duh. I mean, this is the thing that's so fucking crazy, is that New York City is the richest city in the richest country in the world, and people legitimately believe that you cannot afford buses. It's one of the densest places on earth, and they think you cannot afford free buses. I want you to ponder that. I want you to ponder how fucking stupid that is. And a lot of the problems with America and why we can't have a social democracy is because Democrats conspired with Republicans to make social democracy illegal in the United States. Banning, like, the biggest generator of resources in our country is the federal government. And the federal government, you cannot use federal money for public transit operations. I'll say that again, chat. You cannot use federal money for public transit operations. You cannot use federal money if you want to increase the number of public housing units. All you can do is maintain the same number of public housing units. You cannot, as a city, build more public housing, because if you do, you lose the funding. Think about that. You're a mayor of a city. You need housing. And the federal government says to you, if you're efficient with this money, if you are able to raise the number of units of public housing in your city, we're going to take away money from your city. That's why. That is why the federal government, because centrist Democrats conspire with Republicans in order to make this shit not possible. And why do they do this? Because they're free market fundamentalists. They worship markets like a sexual obsession, like a religious obsession. If you're like, well, the government can provide this service at a high quality rate and get rid of and cut back on like unnecessary administrative bloat, and we don't really need a profit, and there's like a natural monopoly, and you know, it would make a lot of sense. They still want you to sell it. Health insurance is the perfect example. Every health insurance company is a private bureaucracy. That means that health insurance companies do not provide health care. All they do is help finance health care and, you know, prevent people from consuming quote unquote excess health care. They don't provide health care. And so each time you have another insurance company, that's another bureaucracy. So private insurance competition is, let's create as many bureaucracies as we can. That's the opposite of efficiency. And that is true of a lot of the industries that have taken over our country. This is why our country's falling apart, because we're no longer manufacturing, we're no longer building infrastructure, we're no longer producing public housing. We are doing finance, real estate, insurance. That is where our money, that's where America makes money. It's not making money from producing things to make people's lives better. It's by charging interest or charging premiums and profiting from speculation. It's not actually improving people's lives or producing more efficiently. That's done over in China, which is why they grow at a much faster rate than we do. It's why their infrastructure is a lot better than ours. It's why why 95% of Chinese people own their own home. Do you know the power of owning your own home versus renting? Do you understand the power of having social housing where you have rent control and a complete right to remain in your own apartment or building? And if that apartment or building needs to be remodeled, to be guaranteed the right to stay at the same price? It is power. It is freedom. It is stress relief. And that's what they're against. They want you harried. They want you struggling. And they want you afraid of standing up for yourself, lest you and your family suffer.
They didn't have pre-K, 3K.
Just quick rejoinder.
Yeah.
When I announced it, Michael Bloomberg, famous quote, Michael Bloomberg said, he wants to drive everyone out of New York City because everyone in his view was the wealthy who would pay the tax. Andrew Cuomo tried to stand in the way of it and tried to use every tool he had in the book to stop us from getting the tax to pay for pre-K. And the New York Times editorial board said it was impossible, and that's why people shouldn't vote for me. So these pillars of the establishment all together again, Bloomberg, Cuomo, New York Times editorial board, telling us we can't have free buses now, or we can't have better child care. Well, they're wrong again.
Pathetic. And the reason why the slandering is going on Zohran is because he's going to win. This is what's necessary in our movement. I want you to look at what's happened with Zohran. I want you to take a look at what's going on with Zohran. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Happy Warrior. He raised money for other mayoral candidates. He cross-endorsed. He worked hard to say, hey, we need to have a united front against Cuomo. And what's his reward? Slandering him for a guy who's pro bono Benjamin Netanyahu's legal team. Why is Kat's fucking campaign manager slandering Zohran while Andrew Cuomo is on Benjamin Netanyahu's legal team? I thought you were anti-Netanyahu. I thought you were anti-right-wing government, you fucking coward. And if you're not pissed, royally pissed about this shit, you're a fucking cuck. And you're why the left loses. Grow a fucking spine. Yeah, but if we tax the rich more, corporations more, they will leave New York City. Yeah. Here's what UAW has to say.
In New York City, the UAW takes on some of the richest employers in the country. Employers like Mercedes-Benz, Columbia University, NYU, Mount Sinai, and Sony. So we know a thing or two about how bosses act. They view the workplace like a dictatorship. The corporate class expects to be treated like kings. They want us silent, obedient, disposable. They expect workers to sit down and shut up. That's not just how they run their workplaces, it's how they want to run our country. That's exactly how Andrew Cuomo ran New York when he was governor. He bullied and harassed workers. He cut Medicaid in the middle of a pandemic. And when striking UAW members needed his support on the picket line, he was nowhere to be found. Those days are over because across New York City, the working class is rising up. We are demanding higher wages, health care for all, a secure retirement, a home we can afford. Because here's the secret truth that the billionaire class doesn't want us to know. We are the majority. And when we stand up, nobody can stand in our way. We don't need another hack politician like Cuomo, someone who smiles for the cameras and then sells us out behind closed doors. What we need is a national movement that unites the working class to take on the oligarchs and rebuild our democracy. And that is exactly the kind of movement that Zohran Mamdani is leading. Zohran isn't owned by Wall Street. He's a fighter for free transit, housing for all, universal child care, and a $30 an hour minimum wage. He believes in democracy, not just in city elections, but on the job, in our apartment buildings, and in our neighborhoods. This campaign isn't just about winning an election. It's about taking back our power from the bosses, from the landlords, from the billionaires who think they own our future. We've had enough of the Cuomos of the world. It's time to fight. And the UAW is proud to be the first union to endorse Zohran Mamdani. Now it's time to elect Zohran and build a New York for the many, not the few. Because when the working class stands up, no one can stop us.
Yeah, I mean, I know, chat. I know it's painful for me. I know when there's people that we like Shawn Fain and Zohran, those are fucking men of courage. All right? And these are the type of people that are going to lead us to a better future, not compromising our values over a genocide, not surrendering and capitulating to right-wingers. It is fighters. And we may not win, but when we do win, it will actually be without them. I don't want these people in our movement. I want our movement to start from a hardcore and build from there. If we have people like this, compromisers in our ranks, we will never succeed. The overwhelming majority of people will be with us. And that is the one strategy that has not been tried.
But you may want to start changing your ways. Change your ways. We're changing your name.